Hi everybody, and welcome back to my kitchen. And thank you for taking the time to join me. I'd like to take a few minutes before we get started with our recipe tonight. I wanted to thank everybody that's made beautiful comments of some of the recipes that they viewed. And thank you so much for your support and your thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. I hope to bring you more recipes in the future that you'll enjoy and that you'll try. So it's here in this kitchen where I make the family favorite recipes. And tonight, I'm turning loose of my secret recipe for making homemade rolls. I learned how to make rolls when I worked for the schools. And you remember how school rolls are. They're delicious. Well, I based this recipe off of that. It took me a few years to tweak it, but I got it right, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So here's my secret recipe. If you're ready, let's get started. Now you can make these rolls using your stand mixer with the dough hook attachment, or you can make it by hand. But I noticed that everybody really enjoyed the recipe with our homemade pizza using the bread machine. So that's what we're going to use tonight, is the bread machine on the dough setting. So we have our reservoir for our bread machine along with our paddle attachment. So that's that. It's going to go into the bread machine. Now I want to go ahead and bloom my yeast. I've got a little bit of sugar here to feed the yeast. But before I do that, because my water is going to be between 110 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit, so I'm calibrating my thermometer. And this thermometer has a storage sheath that also has a tool attached to it that you can calibrate. If you'll notice that this right here fits with this right here, so I can move this needle inside here. You see that, how it moves around? So what I've done is I've got my ice water, and I don't know if you can see this, maybe if you get real close, there's a blue line here that says 32 degrees Fahrenheit. That's where this thermometer is going to be calibrated when you put this in ice water. So I'm going to move this down to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, like that. So now it's calibrated. Here's our water that we're going to bloom our yeast in. So I want this between 110 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. There we go. It's at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's my yeast along with my sugar. The sugar is going to feed the yeast. It's going to grow in this tepid water. All mixed. Alrighty. So if you'll follow me to the bread machine, the same thing, we're going to do our dough for our rolls on the same setting we used for our pizza. So here is my flour all measured out. I'm going to put that in the reservoir. All right. have my sugar here. My salt. And this is what we used to use in the schools. I used to use whole milk, and I used to scald it, but now I just use the powdered milk, the non-fat dry milk. Here it is right here. This is what I use. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on the dough setting. And it's going to be 1 hour and 30 minutes. So I'm going to get that started, and this is going to mix together. And I like to help, my bread machine is a really old bread machine, and I like to help it along. I have before in the past come out here, and some of the dough that's hasn't been totally mixed up has kind of migrated to the sides here, and it didn't get mixed up with the rest of the dough. So I don't take any chances, and I just go ahead and work with it. All right, so we have all our dry ingredients here, and I have my oil here, but I want to go ahead and mix my oil and my egg together. So there's my oil. I like everything nice and homogeneous. Whenever I handle eggs, whether they're in the shell or out of the shell, I always wash my hands. So go ahead and wash my hands. And put the oil and the egg in. And as you can see, our yeast is getting nice and frothy. So I think it's it's starting to bloom. It's nice and frothy. So I'm going to mix this in as well. Again, you can make this in your dough in your stand mixer with the hook attachment. And not only does it mix up the dough, but it also kneads it. But you do have to finish kneading it onto a clean, flat surface to get it to that stage where you can kind of see through the dough. And that takes anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes to knead. The beauty of the bread machine, especially since, like I've told you guys before, I kind of got arthritis in my wrist, so I tend to use the bread machine more and more these days, but I do like the feel of dough. I like to put my hands in the dough. I like to work with the dough. It's just a satisfying feeling. And so every now and then when I'm not having a flare-up, I'll go ahead and do everything by hand, whether it's this roll recipe or the pizza recipe or the pizza frita that we made. So that's all coming together. Again, I like to help it along. Make sure nothing's climbing up the sides. With this bread machine, it's going to mix, knead, and proof. And then when this is ready, I'll be able to form my rolls, and then I'll have to proof the rolls. This is like the school recipe. I'm not going to say that I took that recipe because I've tweaked it through the years, but it's darn near close. And I've had a lot of requests for rolls. I have rolls almost every Sunday when we're having a big Sunday meal. And definitely during Thanksgiving and Christmas, I have to double this batch. we go. So I'm going to let it do its thing. Set it to the side and forget about it. Okay, our timer went off on our bread machine. There it is. And what I'm going to do is I've got a cookie sheet or jelly roll pan. And I'm going to put some vegetable shortening on it. Okay. Here we go. All right. So now this is how we used to do it in schools. This is how I do it at home. I just grab some dough and I tuck it under. I'll take this and tuck it under. You've probably seen people take some dough, tuck it under, and roll it on the counter. I just take it and tuck it under. And then squeeze the bottom and place the roll. I'm kneading it again on the inside. And these rolls are probably about 2 ounces. Just like when we used to do at the school. Now with this extra, I'm just gonna put it in there to rise a little more. Get some more dough. And again, I'm tucking it under. And just squeeze it. I've pushed all that under and I'm just squeezing it. Okay. There's a paddle. Pinch off some more dough. Roll it and tuck it under. Tuck it under. And then squeeze it, pushing my thumb against here, against the bottom and squeezing and doing it like this. Now if you want to, you can take your rolls and roll them out on the countertop. I've seen some people do that. But I find this is how we used to do it at the schools, and we used to find it's just easier to do it that way. Okay, see, I've taken that and I'm kind of pushing it under. And you can kind of squeeze it. I'm pushing that in, squeezing the dough into a little ball. Taking it again, going under, folding under. There we go. Now my countertop is clean. I cleaned it off and I also spray it down with vinegar water and wipe it down. So here's another method. That's a little vegetable shortening. You can pinch off some dough if you want to and fold it under. Some people like to do it like this, where they take the dough and fold it under like that and then roll it out. Do that one again. So you're taking your dough, okay, and you're folding it over. taking it and folding it over. And there's your perfectly round little ball. Okay. One more time. Pinch a little bit off. Take one end, fold it in. Take another end, fold it in. Take this, fold it in. And roll it like that. There we go. So we've got 15 rolls here. I probably have one more, but I'm not going to do that. I'll probably let that rise and put it in its own little, but there's only two, a little pie plate or something. Okay, so another thing I like to do, that's kind of ugly looking, so we'll use this one. So what we want to do is we want this to rise, and I've got some vegetable shortening, and I'm getting it all over my hands, my fingers, and just rubbing the tops. I don't put egg wash on mine. Again, this is how we did it at the schools. So, putting vegetable oil on top of it. Making sure I've got all the little tops on here. You can get a clean cup towel. And put it over that, but I just use a paper towel. I'm going to preheat my oven to 170 degrees Fahrenheit, then turn it off, and then put the rolls in. So I've washed my hands, and I washed off of the shortening off my hands. And as I said, you can use a clean cup towel if you want to. I just use a paper towel on top of it. It works just as well. Now I'm going to go to my oven. And I have it preheating to the lowest I can get it at 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I'm going to turn it off. Oops. Slide this in and set my timer for about 30 minutes. Now you're going to be able to tell if these have proofed enough or risen enough when you poke the roll. If the dent stays in the roll, then you're good to go. So once that rising has taken place, we'll pull the rolls out, heat the oven up to the appropriate time to bake the rolls, and put them in for 10 minutes. Rotate, cook them for 6 minutes more, and we'll be done. So now we're going to do the test, the proof test to see. And if you poke a hole and the dent stays in, they're ready to bake. Had I punched it and it sprung back, they wouldn't be ready to bake. So these are ready. Okay, so let's preheat the oven. We'll preheat the oven to 365 degrees Fahrenheit. We'll pop our rolls in for 10 minutes, and then we'll check them to make sure they're starting to brown appropriately, and if I have to rotate them, and I'll put some additional time on it. We'll see. Okay, let's check our rolls. Looking nice. I'm just going to rotate this, and I am going to let them bake for probably another 4 minutes. We'll see. They're nice and golden. Bring them over here. Butter them. Okay, I've already cleaned off my countertop. So now let's go ahead and butter these rolls. Now I did make this on a cookie sheet, but if you want to make it in a by 9 by 13 pan, you can. In the schools we used to do them in a 2-inch thick pan. But I don't have one of those, so I'm just doing it on my cookie sheet. Okay. So we're going to give these a minute to cool off, and then we'll be back. Okay, hot from the oven. The crowning glory. Okay, so these have cooled off. Let's take one. Still steamy hot though. Wow. Light, tender, and fluffy. Now for the taste test. I'll tell you, these guys are a big hit at any dinner table, holiday table. Ready? I'm going to take a taste test. It's light and tender and fluffy. Now I know how I can eat like 3 of these in about 5-6 seconds. They do melt in your mouth. So there you have it, friends. Homemade dinner rolls. Perfect for any holiday table or dinner table. This is going to be your centerpiece. I hope you enjoy this recipe as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Share it with your family and your friends. And if you like this recipe, please give me a big thumbs up, like and subscribe, and ring the notification bell for upcoming episodes. Until then, stay happy and stay healthy. Thanks for watching.